They were eating. In fact, she had it. They said they brought it from Seychelles Island, and in Seychelles Island they were calling it buid.
Right.
So if any member of the Asante royal family who were part of the Seychelles Island exile, the only name they know Moringa is buid.
Okay, then I have to ask my uncle.
You definitely have to. And in fact, I met this old woman. At that time, she was 97 years, and she was still able to use the needle. And she had this moringa at her backyard, and it was so unique. So I went to ask her, where do you get this plant from? She said, oh, we brought it from Seychelles Island. Oh, yes. And then you look at the Dagatis in the northern Ghana, talk about Wa area.
Mm-hmm.
The Dagatis call it Onyukuo.
Okay.
Onyukuo means just chew and drink water. You are full.
Wow.
That's the traditional name for it. And when you come to the Volta region, it was two of the plants that were used in the Second World War, soybean and moringa. So the white man brought it along during the war. So the Germans were involved in the war. So in Volta region, they call it the white man's tree.
Oh.
Because the Germans took it along during the war. Anywhere they went, they planted moringa, they planted soybean for their consumption.
Okay.
So the Voltarians call it the white man's tree or a poti, yevuti. Yevuti, translate it means the white man's tree, yevuti.
Okay.
So you can see that the Olefer has actually spread globally, everywhere in the world, any continent you can see the moringa. And historically, even the Greek civilization, the Egyptian civilization had all known and used moringa in diverse forms.
Okay.
But currently, one of the striking benefits of moringa is that in Japan, our colleagues in Japan did a research and they found moringa to be especially unique in the fact that it's able to absorb carbon dioxide 20 times more than the average plant. So as a carbon smart agriculture for carbon sequestration, moringa is 20 times stronger in absorbing carbon dioxide more than any other plant, the average plant.
So could it be used to curb climate change?
Of course, that is the model. So
why don't we channel
this is the model we have already postulated and it's being used in other parts of the world.
Wow.
So when you consider moringa as a high value horticultural crop, and we have now brought in what we call the intensive cultivation. Mm-hmm. When you plant moringa intensively, so if you want to, let's say you want to grow mango. Of course, growing trees, everybody knows. But the only problem with growing trees is that you have to wait for 2, 3, 4 years before you can get any economic income from a tree.
Yes.
So with moringa, you grow moringa intensively, and within the first 2 to 3 months, you are harvesting. And you get an income. And that cushions you. And that alone is a good reason why moringa is a climate-smart agricultural model. So if I go to a community, and I have 50 farmers in one community, and each farmer gives me 1 hectare of land. And each hectare of land, you plant moringa intensively. Then you can intercrop the moringa with any tree crop. Call it cocoa, mango, cashew, any crop of your choice. It makes it, instead of waiting for that 2, 3 years, within the first 2 months, you are harvesting the moringa. So all we need to do is that we organize the community. We go and build what we call the centralized processing facility. This is what we recommended to the FAO some years back. And Indonesia, our colleagues are using it. In India, they are using it. So you build a centralized processing facility, 50 farmers, everybody brings his moringa for processing within the first 2 months, and then every 35 days they are harvesting, they are making income. Then they can take their time to wait for the tree to grow. Mm-hmm. And by the time they finish growing the tree is actually a gift to the community. So in 2 years, you have given the community 50 hectares of tree plantations. So if you have 50 hectares of cocoa, you have changed the life of the community forever.
Exactly.
If you have 50 hectares of cashew, you have changed the life of the community forever. What about baobab? 50 hectares of baobab in one community. One baobab has a lifespan of over 2,000 years. You can change the livelihood of the community forever. To be part of the committee who drafted the standard. And we did that in between 2007 to 2009. The Ghana Standard Board contacted, we worked together, the Food and Drugs Board, the Ghana Standard Board, and then the Food Research Institute, these 3 institutions, and then the Moringa Association of Ghana. At that time, our brother Mozart was the president, I was the treasurer, and of course, I had just finished my master's, so I worked on Moringa high density. So since the promotion of the Moringa had started actively, because by 2006, there was the second international Moringa conference, which was financed by Europe. And this, we now got a grant from Brussels to develop the standard. And Dr. Akmel from France was really leading. And standard board, this lady was one lady, I've forgotten her name, but she was the secretary to the committee. So there's a need for us to make sure that as we praise Moringa for all the benefits for food consumption, for the cosmetic industry, from all these, there is a kind of assurance from the consumer that when you need Moringa, you can get Moringa of a high premium quality that is not adulterated, and that is you're not at risk by consuming Moringa product of any kind.
Okay.
So we drafted a standard, and in the standard, there are key things. The soil in which you grow your Moringa is very important, because Moringa is a gross feeder, and we forbid growing Moringa on an old refuse dam. Because when you grow Moringa on an old refuse dam, you are going to have contamination from heavy metals like chromium. Because on an old refuse dam, you are likely to go and throw away your old batteries.
Yes.
Batteries are carrying chromium. So for the purpose of not contaminating the Moringa, anytime you are choosing a land to grow your Moringa, please avoid an old refuse dam. Moringa is a gross feeder. It will pick all the heavy metals, lead, and all those kind of chromium when they are found anywhere they are found. So avoid these galamsey lands that they have used lead and arsenic acid. You end up contaminating the Moringa. So Moringa is a gross feeder, very active in picking up nutrients from the soil. And so make sure your soil you are using is not contaminated. That's one of the areas that the standard spells out clearly. Okay. Then when you mean Moringa, you should not come and add cassava leaf oil to the Moringa leaf. You are adulterating it. Okay. So if you mean Moringa leaf, it should be 100% Moringa leaf. For that matter, we look at the architecture of the plant and we mean Moringa leaf.
So does it mean the leaf with the cassava leaf looks alike?
Sure. For whatever reason, people might want to adulterate, but we mean Moringa leaf, and it should not be
the same purpose in terms of nutrient value.
No. But if you want to say you have added any other leaf or any other powder to that Moringa, it's your own formula, and you got to define it.
Sure.
But when we mean Moringa leaf, we mean 100% pure Moringa leaf.
Okay.
There should be no other contamination, whether deliberate or non-deliberate. So whether deliberately adding any other leaf, we have to avoid that. And then whether undeliberately exposing yourself for other particles or sand or other thing coming in, we need to avoid that. Of course, one of the areas we set again was the moisture, which was very important. The moisture we have reviewed the standard, and the moisture the limit has been set to 5%. We think that if you have Moringa that is below 5% moisture, the shelf life is expected to be at least 2 years, and that is ideal. As a company, as an individual company, if you set up a standard of I know a company who has a standard of 2.5% moisture, and his Moringa is among the best.
Okay.
It's a small company in Togo. But then they were drying it very well, and their moisture was as low as 2.5. So if you are above 5%, your shelf life is likely to be 1 year, and it's not good enough. But of course, we must allow other players to come in. And very soon, we are exclusively looking at Moringa, organic Moringa. Whether organic or conventionally grown, your moisture content is very important. And you must also make sure that you don't have foreign material. So the acid particle must also be within a good range. Then again, the particle size. If you are talking about the powder, we expect it to be within from 0.2 millimeters up to maximum 0.02. So within that range, minimum 0.02 to 0.2 millimeters, that is a powder. Then if you need it to be tea, then it should be between 0.2 to 0.5 millimeters. Tea. This standardization needs to be respected by producers, so that if you say you are going into Moringa, we came across micro particles, and it that the micro To get Moringa at the micro level, there used to be super millers who were milling the Moringa to 2 fine particles. You denature the molecule, the protein molecules, and it was not good enough for consumers. So 2 fine is not good, but within this range of 0.02 millimeters to 0.2 millimeters, and it's good for consumers. And tea, 0.2 to 0.5 millimeter particle size for Moringa. For tea, it's okay. Of course, we're also looking at the standard for oil and for the other cosmetics. I'm yet to read thorough standard, but all these standards are already there. Once you are coming in with the Moringa oil, you are coming in, we know the oleic acid range, the behenic acid range. We expect to have oil. The oleic acid should be within up to maximum 70%, minimum 65% of oleic acid. That would mean that your Moringa oil is good enough. So sooner or of standardization should come in, but the leaf processing and leaf standards should be strictly respected by all producers and consumers alike.
Thank you very much for this insight about the standardization of Moringa. But let me ask, do our farmers who farm Moringa conform to these standards?
To a large extent, as far as personally we have observed in the country, Ghana became the industry in the country, and like other parts of the world.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So we can say Ghana is really, really doing its best when it comes to Moringa production. So in the international markets, to say, what is the place of Moringa industry as international market is concerned?
Well, that is a very checkered road for me to talk about. I have been involved in the Moringa since 2003 when I did my master's, and we were talking about that. Ghana is having the biggest market, 81% of the market.
Okay.
And Ghana 2030. We have already crossed the 10 billion mark.
Okay.
And imagine a market that has just evolved and is growing at 30% per annum and has already reached 30 billion. Compare Moringa industry in euros after 2 years. And within less than a decade, we are close to 30 billion, 20 billion. You can be sure that Moringa is coming very fast. And the reason is very common. Of course,
what is ongoing for their support. But what are we saying? I think the time is now. Indeed, I am pleading to the government. If this IMF money comes, if this $3 billion comes, please, at least 50% of this money should channel into agric. And I tell you, within even 5 or 6 months, not even a year, you recover this money, even and get access to manage the economy.
Let me bring out some aspect here again. Like I did mention, imagine all these communities across the country. We have Western region specialized in coconut production.
Yes.
But I was heading a research station where we were willing to sell the seedlings to the farmers. Who is interested in coming to buy and wait for 3 years? So you go to a community, organize them, as I said, 50 farmers per community, build one Moringa community, grow the Moringa, and then intercrop it with coconuts.
Yes.
And then within the first 3 months, they are getting income from the Moringa leaves.
Exactly.
That pushes them financially.
Sure.
They can wait after 2 years, they have 50 hectares of coconut in that community. If I have 20 communities in one district, and if I multiply in this district,
yes,
and then let's say I have 50 districts, and I'll be able to get 20 in each of these districts, 20 communities. Each community is having 50 hectares of coconut. Go to another place where I can have oil palm. Do the same thing. Go to another place where I can have cashew. Do the same thing. Go to another place where I can have cocoa. Do the same thing.
We are blessed.
Within a short time, we can change this country.
We can recover.
We can recover very fast.
Yes.
It's not any magic.
Yes, Ali.
It's doable. And let me tell you, within a hectare of the Moringa, you can make potentially $100,000 a year from the Moringa alone. Proceeds
From 1 hectare.
with 1 hectare. So multiply the 1 hectare by 50 farmers.
1 hectare.
You are making $100,000.
1 hectare of Moringa gives you $100,000 per annum.
Yes, I mean it.
Which economic venture can give you
you
this?
have that? And so if you go into a community of 50 farmers and you're able to invest in infrastructure, let's say $400,000, within the first 6 months, you have already recovered that money. After 2 years, move the same facility to a different community. And then help them like that. And within the first 2-3 years, you made more than 200-300% interest. And this is the climate smart model agriculture we are talking about with Moringa high density. Moringa is a high value horticultural crop. Moringa is on demand globally. And we have the weather. And mind you, if you grow Moringa in West Africa, it's not the same as Moringa you have grown in South Africa. Because we are closer to the equator. The quality of the radiations we are having here is much higher. And of course, in West Africa, we are having the monsoon rainfall. Free rains. What are we doing with it? Free sunshine, radiations. People need it. Let's take opportunity of let's take advantage of the opportunity and grow it. Of course, right from here, I'm going to the farm and we are going to do it.
Sure, right from here, we are going to the farm. Be there. And also to my youth, my fellow youth, those who are sitting out there idle, talking about unemployment and then complaining. Let me tell you, there is a lot in Moringa. There is a lot of opportunities in Moringa. Like Doc said, $100,000 per annum. Per hectare, not 10 hectares, not 5 hectares, not 2 hectares. Imagine you are doing 5 hectares of Moringa per annum. Multiply this by $100,000. 5 times $100,000, $500,000. And what can't you afford? You can afford everything. This shows and this indicates agriculture is very, very viable and is the gold in the soil. We thank you, Doc. We are most, I don't know the word that I should use for you. This indeed shows how inclined you are when it's come to Moringa. And I think we need to do our maximum best to promote the ideas and then what you have in order to bring out Moringa more and then make Ghana recover its first to appear in the international markets in terms of Moringa, and then we can also overtake the rest of the country, especially.
The good news is that we currently have technology that we can produce premium Moringa that no one else can produce.
That is Ghana.
That's Ghana. Because I can tell you, we have been able to improve the protein content in the Moringa from 31% to 38% long ago.
Oh.
And very soon we are going to be able to put Moringa that is 45% protein. And of course, all the other phytochemicals are extremely high, which no one else is able to do. Of course, we know what we are talking about.
So indeed, so in case we want to be the best to produce across the globe, we can.
We should be.
We
have what it takes.
Yes. So we're going to add this onto the government. Actually, our new agric minister, we have a lot of work to do. You were being passed by the parliament just recently, and we are waiting for the president to actually officiate you officially for you to have your office, and we will approach you with such initiative and then projects, and it is doable and workable. So please, let's make this work. Thank you very much once again, and I'm very, very delighted to have you here, and we wish to continue this and see the progress of Moringa in Ghana's economy more often. We will visit you again.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, our viewers, for joining us on Agric Today TV with Doc to have such inclined discussion with Dr. Newton Amaglu. Thank you. We will see you again.